The story begins with Yukiteru Amano running like his life depends on it. No matter where he tries to hide, a pink-haired girl, Yuno, always manages to find him first. In a desperate attempt to escape, he dashes into an elevator, but to his dismay, Yuno catches up again. As she closes in, Yuki starts to panic, wondering how everything got f***ed up so quickly. Rewind to a week ago, Yuki is a lonely high school student who keeps to himself, just like you, spending his days watching anime or Oni-chan video, and jotting down notes in his diary. His only companions are two imaginary figures, Deus, who claims to be a deity ruling over time and space, and Mur Mur, Deus's loyal servant. Yuki's life is pretty mundane until Deus suggests a thrilling game that promises to make things exciting. Thinking it's all in his head, Yuki agrees without much thought. The next morning, Yuki wakes up to bizarre entries in his diary predicting specific events, hitting a double bullseye in darts within minutes and learning about a serial killer on the news shortly after. Yuki has no memory of writing these predictions, but they come true. He nails the bullseye and hears about the killer during breakfast. It suddenly dawns on him that his diary is predicting the future. Back at school, the diary continues to accurately forecast events like surprise quizzes and accidents, leaving Yuki in a state of panic. Seeking answers, he confronts Deus and discovers that Deus is not f***ing imagination, and the game are real. Deus warns him not to break his phone, or he'll get f***ed and die. Initially frightened, Yuki soon realizes the power he holds as long as his phone remains intact. Now with the ability to foresee events, he navigates school life effortlessly, using the diary to excel academically and avoid ugly loser. This newfound power makes Yuki feel Giga Chad, filling him with confidence and excitement. During a test, Yuki uses his diary and notices Yuno, a girl in his class, staring at him. She used to be the top student until Yuki took over, and he wonders if she's pissed about it. After school, he spots a Mur Mur doll on her desk, which surprises him. Suddenly, his phone buzzes with a prediction that he will be killed by a serial killer in a few minutes. Terrified, Yuki panics even more when Yuno walks in and tells him he's about to die. He runs, trying to get away. Yuno catches up to him, and Yuki realizes she also has a diary. Thinking she's the killer, he grabs a dart to defend himself. But Yuno kisses him and points out the real killer outside, who also has a diary. What the hell? All it took was a kiss to trust her. Yuno's diary shows Yuki's future every 10 minutes, so she calls it the Diary of Love. Yuki is stunned to find out she's a serious stalker. According to Yuno's diary, Yuki's death is supposed to happen on the 14th floor. They decide to go to the rooftop instead. The killer arrives and starts searching for them. Following Yuno's plan, Yuki hides and waits for her signal. Yuno distracts the killer, giving Yuki a chance to destroy the killer's phone with his dart. As Deus warned, breaking the phone means the diary owner dies. Angry and confused, Yuki confronts Deus, demanding to know why others have diaries too. Deus takes him to the cathedral, where other diary owners, their identities hidden, are gathered. Deus explains the survival game. 12 owners have future diaries, predicting the future based on their past journal entries. They are numbered 1 to 12, with Yuki being the first, Yuno the second, and the serial killer the third. Predictions can change depending on actions taken by the owner or other owners. Yuki survived because Yuno stepped in. The goal of the game is for the diary owners to gather info and eliminate each other. The last one standing becomes the god of time and space, taking Deus's place. As the meeting ends, some owners see Yuki as the biggest threat because he escaped death. Yuno promises to protect him no matter who she has to face. The next day at school, Yuki's nerves are on edge because any moment could mean facing off with a diary owner, especially after class. Just as everyone clears out, enter Minine, a girl who drops a bombshell. Their homeroom teacher is a serial killer. Yuki's totally confused and wonders who Minine is and why she's telling him this. Then, a crackling noise breaks the silence. Yuki's got only 3 hours to live. Yuno rushes to protect Yuki, but Minine slips away, ominously muttering "die" before vanishing. Bombs start going off throughout the school, yet by some miracle, Yuki and Yuno dodge them. Yuno confidently promises to take out Minine, leaving Yuki shaken and wondering how Crack's casually talking about killing. But he's got no choice but to rely on her to stay alive. With their diaries guiding them, Yuno predicts where and when the bombs will go off. Meanwhile, Minine's outside, threatening everyone to stay put or else she'll set off all the bombs remotely. Yuno's puzzled by two things: why Minine spared Yuki and why his death time hasn't changed despite dodging the explosions. Just as the police arrive to confront Minine, their chief Keigo orders them not to shoot her. Turns out Keigo's a diary holder too, and he knows that if Minine dies, all the remaining bombs will explode. Back at school, Yuno and Yuki find themselves surrounded by their classmates. But there's a twist, they've been captured. Just minutes ago, Minin struck a deal with the school. If they handed over Yuki, she promised to deactivate all the bombs scattered around. Yuki's phone gets confiscated and he's led away under heavy guard. The school grounds are like a minefield, with Minin warning everyone to stay put or risk setting off a deadly explosion. Inside the classroom, Yuno freaks out, but she's determined to protect Yuki. Without thinking twice, she breaks free and races towards him, setting off alarms that trigger the bombs one by one. Minin is left scratching her head at the chaos until Keigo, the fourth diary owner, shows up to save Yuki. His future diary predicts future crimes, and he's dead set on stopping them. Keigo isn't interested in power, he just wants to end this f***ing game. Just when Minin has Yuki backed into a corner, Yuno crashes through a window, allowing Yuki to dodge the landmines and snatch back his phone. As Minin gets ready to trigger the explosives, Yuki charges at her with a dart, accidentally poking her in the eye. Cornered, Minin uses a smoke bomb to disappear into thin air. Later on, Keigo teams up with Yuki and Yuno to put an end to this f***ing battle royal game. They rely on their diaries to track down the other diary owners. So far, they've identified 5: Yuki and Yuno, the serial killer, Keigo himself, and Minin. The school closes temporarily, and Keigo suggests Yuki and Yuno spend some downtime at an amusement park as part of their strategy. The next day at the amusement park, Yuki remains cautious while Yuno sees it as a chance to get his meat. Closer to him, turning it into what feels like a date. As they spend more time together, Yuki begins to see Yuno not just as a crazy ass bitch, but as a cute girl who deeply loves him. After enjoying various attractions, Yuno suggests going to the planetarium, but Yuki declines, opting for the Ferris wheel instead. Curious, Yuno asks why he refused the planetarium when he loves stars so much. Startled, Yuki questions how she knew about his passion. Yuno recalls their first meeting when they stayed late at school to write about their dreams. She noticed Yuki's longing to see stars with his family after their recent divorce. When Yuno offered to watch the stars with him, Yuki declined, wanting to share that experience only with his family. Yuno then made a promise to be his wife so they could stargaze together as a family. Yuki wonders how Yuno could become so fixated on a simple promise and asks if she's hiding something. Instead of answering, Yuno kisses him and calls it a secret. Later that evening, they head to Yuno's house, where she blushingly asks Yuki to clap her tonight. Stay the night, as Keigo advised them to stay together until Minin is captured. Inside the house, it's just Yuki and Yuno, and oddly, the electricity is out. While Yuno is in the kitchen, Yuki uses his diary to find the bathroom. Along the way, he encounters a door not mentioned in his diary. Opening it would change the future for all diary owners, causing Deus's cathedral to collapse. Inside the room are 3 dead bodies, and Yuno suddenly appears with a chilling expression, warning Yuki not to have opened the door. Panicked, Yuki flees back home, but soon Yuno arrives, pounding on his door and urging him to let her in. Yuki tries to call Keigo, but Yuno intercepts with a message, making Yuki realize he's trapped in this ugly situation. After a few tense minutes, he finally manages to fall asleep, despite the chaos around him. Meanwhile, Minin is desperately trying to evade the cops. Her diary helps her find the best escape routes, but the police are everywhere. Suddenly, a mysterious figure approaches her. When Minin checks her diary, she sees that this person is her only escape route, so she decides to follow him. He leads her to a hidden cabin. The man, with his face covered, gives her some painkillers. Trusting him, Minin takes the pills and tries to rest. However, her body starts to go numb, though her diary shows no danger. Suddenly, her phone transforms into a wooden block, and the man reveals himself as the 11th diary owner. The next morning, Keigo comes to pick up Yuki from his house. Yuki, still freaked out from what happened the day before, tries to tell Keigo about it. But Yuno, stepping out of the car, stops him, hinting that they'd be embarrassed if anyone found out what they did last night. Keigo jumps to conclusions, thinking Yuki and Yuno were animal in heat. They all get in the car, and Keigo shares some news. Minin has been captured by a religious group called Onkata. When they arrive, they meet Orin, a worker who takes them to Priestess Tsubaki, the 6th diary owner. She's in a wooden cage and explains that her diary shows everything her followers see or experience. Yuki is overwhelmed by the power of her diary, but Tsubaki reassures him she's not interested in becoming a god. She just wants to help her followers. Minin is held underground, and they can take her, but Tsubaki asks for a favor. She wants Yuki to f*** her all night long. She's been warned of her death happening today and believes Yuki, who has escaped death twice, can help her survive. Yuno objects, but Keigo decides Yuki should stay. Since Yuki's diary shows no immediate danger, if he can prevent Tsubaki's death, it would benefit everyone. After Keigo leaves, Tsubaki warns Yuki to stay away from Yuno, saying she'll ruin his life. It's just her instinct, not written in her diary. Overhearing this, Yuno gets furious and decides Tsubaki needs to be eliminated. Out of nowhere, the futon inside Tsubaki's cage catches fire, and hypnotized followers start flooding the room, attacking each other. Yuki tries to help Tsubaki, but Yuno stops him, warning it's a trap and he'll get killed if he stays. Frustrated, Yuki calls Yuno a freaky and insists on helping Tsubaki. Luckily, the sprinklers turn on, dousing the flames. Tsubaki yells, breaking her followers out of their trance. She thanks Yuki for his help and checks her diary, discovering that a mysterious man, pretending to be a follower, is hiding in the shrine. Just then, Yuno, wielding an axe, approaches Tsubaki. Yuki's diary shows a new prediction. He'll die in 13 minutes at the hands of the followers. The followers, no longer hypnotized, start attacking again. Yuno takes them down one by one to protect Yuki. She offers her hand to Yuki, giving him a stark choice: stay with her and live or choose Tsubaki and risk dying. Yuki grabs both their hands, and they all make a run for it. Keigo, having fixed the sprinklers, learns about the chaos. He instructs them to head to the main gate where backup will soon arrive. He plans to join them there after dealing with Minin. In the basement of the shrine, Minin is tied up. The guy who pretended to be Tsubaki's follower is Hirasaka, the 12th diary owner. He tricked Minin into thinking she had her real phone and hypnotized the followers. Hirasaka's plan to take down Tsubaki's powerful diary is all about causing confusion. His diary, which alerts him to future wrongdoings with voice memos instead of written notes, is his key tool. Even though Hirasaka is blind, he's got super hearing, keeping him in the loop about everything going on upstairs. And it's driving him nuts that other diary users are messing with his plan. Meanwhile, Yuki and the crew are running for their lives as the followers start snapping out of their trance. Tsubaki stops Yuki, suggesting they get rid of the intruder, but Yuno, totally over it, moves to take Tsubaki out. That's when Yuki gets a call from Keigo, who warns him that Hirasaka is closing in. Keigo also spills the beans that Hirasaka is blind and relies on his hearing. Then, 5 people show up claiming to be the 12th diary owner. They warn Yuki that Tsubaki is evil and that her group is a cult with a shady past. Hirasaka, who's all about justice, plans to blow himself up with a bomb to take Tsubaki down. Despite the warning and Yuno urging him to run, Yuki doesn't buy it and isn't ready to leave Tsubaki behind. With no other options left, Yuno decides to take down Hirasaka. Knowing he relies on his sharp hearing, she creates a distraction. The first person who reacts, she quickly eliminates. After getting rid of the body, a bomb goes off, leaving Yuno exhausted but successful in eliminating Hirasaka. Tsubaki then shows her true nature. She had intended to get rid of Yuki, Yuno, and Keigo using Minin as bait, but hadn't expected Hirasaka to be undercover as her follower. She admits she was never a real priestess. As a child, her parents exploited her poor eyesight, pretending she had divine vision to attract followers. Their plan worked, and the number of followers grew. After her parents died in an accident, the head servant Funatsu took over and used her as a tool for others to dump their sins on her. Despite enduring these horrors daily, she found solace in her mother's handmade ball. But when it vanished, she decided to become a god and destroy the world. In a cruel move, Tsubaki kisses Yuki to make Yuno suffer. Even with Hirasaka dead, Tsubaki is shocked that her death is still foretold. Yuno starts taking out the followers one by one and severely injures Tsubaki's arm. She hands her phone to Yuki and pushes him to safety before collapsing from exhaustion. On the roof, Keigo and Minin are stuck as the followers block the police backup. Inside the shrine, Tsubaki has Yuno tied up, planning to use her to draw out Yuki. Hiding away, Yuki regrets ever trusting Tsubaki. He realizes that despite Yuno's possessiveness and secrets, she genuinely loves him. Suddenly, Tsubaki's voice echoes through an announcement, threatening Yuki that Yuno will suffer the same torment she did if he doesn't show up. Hearing Yuno's screams, Yuki can't stand it any longer. He spots a ball and suspects it's the one Tsubaki's mother made. Taking it, he rushes to save Yuno. When he throws the ball, Tsubaki is distracted by the sight of her mother's handmade ball, giving Yuki the chance to destroy her diary with his dart. With Tsubaki's death, the police storm in and secure the area. As they head home, Yuki reflects on Yuno. She may live among dead bodies, but her devotion to him is undeniable. Overwhelmed, he kisses her. Meanwhile, Minin seems surprisingly calm because Keigo has struck a secret deal with her. A week later, Yuki picks up his mom from the airport. Ria, his mother, is a programmer who works abroad most of the time but visits him occasionally, like today. When they got home, Yuki and Ria noticed the broken window. Yuki quickly checked his diary and hurried inside to find Yuno. Yuno, who had read in her diary that Yuki's mom was visiting, had cleaned up the house and made dinner to impress her. Ria found Yuno incredibly cute and mistakenly thought she was Yuki's girlfriend. Impressed by the delicious meal, Ria playfully suggested that Yuno marry her son, much to Yuno's delight. After dinner, Ria mentioned that her friend's son, Hojo, would be staying with them for a few days. Hojo's parents were followers of Tsubaki, who died in the Omakata incident, which the police had officially labeled as a mass suicide. Since it was late, Ria insisted that Yuno stay the night. Yuno agreed, and while she was upstairs taking a bath, Ria prepared the bed. Before leaving, she teasingly reminded Yuki to destroy her card but don't release his on her.
What do you mean by that?
Later that night, as they lay in bed, Yuno wanted Yuki to sleep beside her, but he refused, claiming he didn't like her. Undeterred, Yuno confidently predicted that by July 28th, they would be deeply in love and united as one. Blushing, Yuki went to sleep on the other side of the bed, while Yuno felt relieved that Yuki's mother was understanding. Otherwise, she had other plans. The next morning, Hojo arrived, captivating everyone with his charm. He began drawing a picture of Yuno and, while showing it to her, accidentally dropped the scissors he was holding. Fortunately, the scissors only pierced a cushion, and Yuno escaped unharmed. Apologizing for his clumsiness, Hojo excused himself to the washroom. Despite it looking like an accident, Hojo actually caused it on purpose. He's the 5th diary owner, and his diary predicts the future through drawings. Unlike the others, he's not interested in becoming a god, he just wants to have fun. And messing with Yuki and Yuno seems like a game to him. Even though he's only 5 years old, he's as smart as an adult. Before lunch, Hojo poisoned some tomatoes. When Yuki tried to eat them, Yuno stopped him because they felt weirdly heavy. She tossed them out, and suddenly Yuki's diary updated, showing another diary owner nearby, Hojo himself. Hojo knows he has to take out Yuno first to get to Yuki. He plans to electrocute her and sets up his trap. But just as he's about to spring it, Yuki's diary changes again, showing Yuno's death by electrocution. In a quick move, Yuki cuts the power, revealing Hojo as a fellow diary owner. Later that night, Yuki tries to find Hojo's diary while he sleeps. Hojo mocks them, saying they're too dumb to find it. The next day, Yuno gets fed up and goes after Hojo with a hammer. In the heat of the moment, she accidentally hits Ria. Yuki rushes to help Ria, scolding Yuno for being so reckless. Yuno feels awful about it, but Yuki comforts her, saying she's smart enough to find Hojo's diary if she tries. Blushing, Yuno promises she won't give up until she does. Yuno gets serious and starts thinking about where Hojo could hide something that Yuki couldn't find. She figures it must be somewhere outside the house since Yuki already searched everywhere inside. Remembering that Hojo went to the convenience store with Ria yesterday, Yuno guesses that he might have mailed the diary to himself. Just then, the doorbell rings. Yuno quickly warns Yuki, who rushes to grab the package. But as he opens it, poisonous gas escapes, and he collapses. Hojo compliments Yuno for her cleverness but mentions the package should have been opened from the other side. Yuno drags Yuki into the bathroom as gas spreads through the house. Hojo starts banging on the door, taunting Yuno to come out and play. When she doesn't respond, he gets impatient and offers the antidote if she finds him in a game of hide and seek. Yuki tries to stop her, but Yuno knows she needs to get the antidote, so she agrees. She breaks the windows first and ensures Ria's safety as Yuki requested. Then, she begins searching for Hojo, but he keeps changing locations using his diary. After thoroughly checking the ground floor, Yuno heads upstairs but arrives too late. Hojo uses an electric bulb and water to shock her. Yuki hears her scream and tries to help but collapses from the poison. Fueled by anger, Yuno corners Hojo and stabs him. Before dying, Hojo hands over the antidote and thanks Yuno for playing with him, unlike his parents who always fought. After Hojo disappears, Yuno collapses. Minine arrives with the antidote, having gotten a message from Keigo about the 5th owner, and keeps her promise. After a while, Keigo and the cops arrive at Yuki's house. They tell Ria that when she was unconscious, someone broke in and took Hojo. They assure her they're doing their best to locate him so she doesn't fret. 2 weeks later, Yuki and Yuno head to their new school. Along the way, Yuki notices someone grinning at him, but he brushes it off once they arrive. He feels jittery amid so many unfamiliar faces, especially with Aoji, who nabbed him on Minine's orders, sharing his class. Aoji starts loudly teasing Yuki about his past, but 2 classmates named Hinata and Mao step up to defend him. Their homeroom teacher shows up and discusses safety measures due to recent killings nearby. They're told to move around in groups for safety. Hinata mentions the victims suffered serious injuries with bite marks. After school, Yuki, Yuno, Hinata, and Mao visit the site where the bodies were found, then explore other areas in the park. During this time, Yuno keeps her distance, clearly displeased with Yuki's new friends. Hinata ventures ahead to check the surroundings and makes a startling discovery. Suddenly, there's static noise, and Yuki checks his diary to find a shocking entry. Hinata is dead. He rushes to her location and finds her lifeless, surrounded by a pack of dogs. Everyone is frozen in fear until their classmate Kai's, the one who had smiled at Yuki earlier, shows up. He suggests they head to a nearby observatory for safety. They run there and make it just in time. Aki introduces himself as a budding detective. He had been looking into the recent murders and noticed Yuki's unusual connection to all of them. He followed Yuki, hoping he might unknowingly lead him to the culprit and stop another crime. Soon, the dogs surround the observatory. Yuno suspects one of Yuki's new friends is controlling the dogs and suggests using them as bait to escape. Yuki refuses and starts reinforcing the windows. Using his diary, he predicts which window will break next and directs the others accordingly. Following his instructions, they manage to keep the dogs at bay for 30 minutes until the dogs leave. Suddenly, Mao grabs Yuki's phone and threatens him. Hinata then makes a dramatic entrance, revealing she also has a diary. She demands Aki hand over his diary in exchange for Yuki's safety. A week ago, Hinata's father, Tsukishima, the 10th diary owner, confessed to her about the recent murders. Obsessed with his dogs, Tsukishima abandoned his family, spending a fortune on the best meat for his dogs while he lived on instant noodles. When his dogs began hunting humans, he ignored it. Tsukishima eventually wanted to start over and needed Hinata to eliminate Aki, who had been investigating him. Desperate to have her father back, Hinata agreed to get rid of Aki. She noticed Aki was keeping an eye on Yuki, so she befriended Yuki and brought him to the park to lure Aki. Her plan worked perfectly. Hinata demands Aki's diary, threatening to harm Yuki if she doesn't get it. To avoid violence, Aki proposes a coin toss. If Hinata wins, she gets his diary. If he wins, Yuki goes free. Though skeptical, Hinata agrees, confident because she has Yuki's diary. She grows suspicious, wondering why Aki would take such a risky gamble when it seems he'll lose. Aki flips the coin, and Hinata tries to outwit him. Her diary says left, but she chooses right, hoping to catch him off guard. Surprisingly, the coin lands on left. She reluctantly lets Yuki go but keeps his diary, eager for another chance. Yuno becomes suspicious, noticing everyone's phone made a static noise except Aki's. She confronts him, discovering his phone is just a regular one. Aki isn't a diary owner. Aki had relied on pure luck. Furious that he endangered Yuki, Yuno confronts him. Aki insists on another game to win back Yuki's diary. He shares his plan with Yuno, who reluctantly agrees but remains wary. Aki assures her he won't endanger Yuki, revealing his feelings for Yuki go beyond friendship. Yuno is left speechless, torn but willing to proceed cautiously. The showdown begins with Hinata flipping the coin. She goes with Yuki's diary advice and holds it in her right hand. Aki correctly guesses the hand, while Yuno covers Yuki's ears to keep him in the dark. Aki fibs to Yuki about choosing left, which isn't true, and Yuno reacts by knocking Yuki over in disbelief. Hinata realizes her loss, understanding that Yuki's diary only shows what he believes, even if it's wrong. Mao tries to attack with a knife, but Yuno swiftly intervenes, stabbing Mao to protect everyone. Amid the chaos, Hinata accidentally drops Yuki's phone. As she mourns Mao, she uses her diary to command dogs to attack. Yuki gets a notification that everyone is doomed. Yuki plans to distract the dogs with Aoji and Yuno while Yuki confronts Hinata. However, Yuno goes against the plan and follows Yuki, suggesting using Aoji and Aki as bait to escape. Yuki refuses to risk his friends' lives. Despite Hinata having the opportunity to use him as a hostage, Yuki understands she played the game to fulfill her promise. Yuki confronts Hinata, asking why she's keeping him from making friends. Confesses it's because she doesn't want anyone taking him away to resolve the situation. Yuki lies and tells Yuno he loves her and wants to be her boyfriend. Yuno drops the knife and blushes. Yuki asks Yuno to accept his friends as her own, which she happily agrees to. As things settle down, Yuki realizes he can't take back what he's done. Hinata apologizes tearfully to her father, Tsukishima, for failing him. Tsukishima consoles her, admitting he was a bad father trying to escape his actions by using his innocent daughter. He wants to repent for his sins and encourages Hinata to find happiness. Suddenly, a gunshot rings out, and everyone assumes Tsukishima took his own life. In reality, it's Keigo who killed him. The scene changes to a remote cabin where Minine is busy working on her bombs. When the deadly game began months ago, Minine faced off against the third diary owner, whose armored defenses made her weapons useless. Forced to flee, she injured her leg in the process. During her escape, Minine encountered Officer Nishijima, who mistook her for a wanted criminal while investigating a serial killer. They sought refuge in an abandoned building to hide from the killer. When Minine needed to use the bathroom urgently, Nishijima reluctantly accompanied her, keeping her handcuffed. It was embarrassing for Minine when she accidentally broke the toilet while trying to flush it, causing water to splash everywhere. Nishijima saw Minine shivering from the cold and kindly offered her a dress to wear. She hesitated at first but eventually agreed after his persistent urging. After changing, Nishijima complimented Minine, calling her cute. She blushed and stepped back, accidentally tripping, causing Nishijima to awkwardly grab her plot armor. He apologized, flustered by Minine's unexpected reaction. To escape the pursuing killer, Minine devised a smart plan. Nishijima baited the killer into a room and used a flashbang to create a distraction, allowing them to lock the killer inside. Amid the chaos, Minine unexpectedly shot Nishijima and fled. Growing up in a war-torn environment had toughened Minine, making her feel detached from typical feminine traits. She was determined to reshape a corrupt world. The next morning, Aki invites Yuki to hang out, but Yuno unexpectedly shows up, claiming Aki invited her too. Yuki realizes he's been set up for a date after confessing his love. After a short trip, they arrive at a bridal fair chosen by Aki. At the fair, they meet Keigo's wife, who works there and becomes their guide. They change into wedding attire for a photo session after lunch. Yuki wants to tell Yuno the truth about everything, but seeing her happiness makes him decide to wait. They go through a mock chapel wedding, which leaves Yuki feeling uneasy given what he's seen at Yuno's house. He wonders if he could truly fall in love with her if he could forget the disturbing things he witnessed. Later, at Yuno's house, they find Aki inside, who admits he set up the date to investigate Yuno's secrets, hoping to find evidence of bodies. Instead, he discovers a deep hole, leaving Yuki shocked. Yuki questions Yuno about the bodies he saw, but she seems to have lost her memories or is pretending. She insists it's his first visit. Aki later reveals that Yuno's fragile mental state might have caused her to overwrite her memories. The scene shifts to the police station, where Keigo discusses Tsukishima's death. Surprisingly, Yuno and Yuki are named as suspects, and Keigo orders their arrest within 24 hours. Keigo had a secret deal with Minine to help her escape from the police in exchange for her aiming to become god. Keigo prefers Minine over Yuki because of her tragic past and her desire for a peaceful world without war, unlike Yuki, who isn't interested in becoming a god. The scene opens with Yuki deep in thought about the disturbing things he saw at Yuno's house. Suddenly, Nishijima and other officers surround him and take him to the police station. Not long after, Yuno is brought in as well. Keigo, looking at his diary, tells Nishijima to bring Yuki to him in 5 minutes. Outside, noticing Yuki's anxiety, Yuno promises to protect him, even if it means taking on everyone at the station. After the 5 minutes pass, Yuki is summoned into the interrogation room. Keigo asks if he or Yuno killed Tsukishima since they were spotted near his mansion that day. Yuki quickly denies it, and Keigo, who already knew the truth, explains he had to question them as part of protocol. Feeling momentarily relieved, Yuki is shocked when Keigo forces him to play Russian roulette. Meanwhile, Yuno gets a new diary entry, revealing that even after clearing Yuki of suspicion, Keigo is keeping him in the room for another 10 minutes. Furious, Yuno grabs a fire extinguisher and storms toward the interrogation room. Inside, Keigo fires 4 shots, all blanks, leaving 2 bullets. Just as he's about to pull the trigger on Yuki, Yuno bursts in, shooting Keigo multiple times. Nishijima, injured, arrives but Yuki stops Yuno before she can shoot him too. Yuno, regaining her senses, is relieved she protected Yuki. They take Nishijima as a hostage and make a dramatic escape from the station. Keigo survives the attack, losing only an ear thanks to his bulletproof vest. However, Yuno is now facing charges for assault and attempted murder. As Keigo anticipated, his future diary starts filling up with entries about her. Yuno and Yuki are now on the run, pursued by the police. In the chaos, a warning shot causes Yuki to panic, leading him to accidentally shoot an officer. Keigo is informed, seeing his plan unfold perfectly. His diary, which only logs criminal activities, now allows him to track Yuno and Yuki. He orders their capture, permitting officers to use lethal force if necessary. Yuki's diary predicts their imminent death at Keigo's hands. Cornered on a rooftop, Yuno kisses Yuki before they both leap off, landing safely on a truck and escaping. From the next day, they become wanted fugitives, constantly hunted by the police. Hungry and hiding in a storehouse, they spot Keigo's wife heading to a hospital. Curious, Yuki decides to follow her. Suddenly, a bomb goes off and Minin appears, taking Yuki hostage. However, a mishap with the bomb traps them both. As Yuki starts crossing a ladder to escape, Minin stops him. Realizing they are cornered, she proposes an alliance. In exchange for her safety, she will reveal why Keigo betrayed them. Just then, she receives a call from Keigo, who knows her actions thanks to his diary. He orders her to prevent their escape, but she hangs up defiantly. Moments later, she receives a death entry in her diary. After crossing the ladder, Yuki and Minin enter a room where they find Keigo's wife and son. The boy is terminally ill with only 3 months to live. Besides wanting Minin to become god, Keigo also hoped she could cure his son. Now, with Keigo after her, Minin decides to use his family as hostages and destroy his diary. Soon, the police surround the hospital. Inside the room, Minin ties up Keigo's wife and assigns roles. Yuki will scout, and Yuno will watch the hostages. Before Yuki leaves, Minin hands him a grenade. She then calls Keigo, proposing a deal in exchange for his family's lives. He must provide a getaway car and kill himself. To her surprise, Keigo refuses. Knowing his son's survival chances are slim, Keigo aims to become god himself. He hangs up, and the police start infiltrating the hospital. Yuki is informed that the deal failed, but it's too late. The police arrest him as Keigo approaches. Yuno arrives just in time, taking down several officers. Keigo takes Yuki hostage, but Yuno grabs the grenade, threatening to unpin it. Keigo releases Yuki and tells Yuno to drop the grenade. Instead, she unpins it and rushes at him. Meanwhile, Minin plants a time bomb in another room and escapes through a window, only to encounter Nishijima again. Both are startled, and Nishijima grabs her. At that moment, a light flashes. The grenade Minin gave Yuki was a flash grenade, leaving everyone unharmed. However, the time bomb soon explodes, causing Yuki and others to fall. When Yuki wakes up, he finds a gun but sees Keigo holding Yuno hostage. Panicking, Yuki checks his diary, which predicts that if he shoots, he'll miss and Yuno will die. Despite knowing Yuki lied about loving her, Yuno insists he should shoot if it's to save him, saying she's happy to die for him. Their wedding photo drops, and Yuki remembers their shared moments. Determined, he tells Yuno they will both live and marry. As he calms down, the future shifts. Yuki pulls the trigger, hitting Keigo. Desperate to become god, Keigo raises his knife to attack Yuno, but Nishijima and Minin arrive just in time. Nishijima has a recording of Keigo's plan to entrap Yuno and Yuki. Accepting his fate upon learning his family is safe, Keigo breaks his phone and vanishes after apologizing to Yuki. The scene shifts to another dimension where Deus is furious with Mur Mur for altering the future. Keigo was supposed to learn about his son's illness later, changing the timing of his fight with Yuki. Mur Mur rushed events because Deus's life is ending, eager to select the next god. Deus sternly warns Mur Mur to never interfere with the game again. The next morning, Yuki and Yuno are finally cleared of all charges. Luckily, the cop Yuki shot survived, and Nishijima, using a crucial voice recording, managed to settle the case. Minin escaped again. But for now, Yuki and Yuno can enjoy some peaceful time together. As promised, Yuki takes Yuno to the mountains to watch the stars. While Yuki steps away to the bathroom, Aki sends him a message, but Yuno reads it first. The message warns Yuki to stay away from Yuno. Angry, Yuno deletes it. After an hour-long bus ride, they reach their destination and take a break. Yuno gives Yuki a cola, trying to keep things light. Meanwhile, Aki goes to Yuki's house but finds him gone. He meets up with Nishijima to discuss the situation. Nishijima, a sharp and aspiring detective, already trusts Aki's skills. He shares info from Keigo's diary, which details the survival game, the rules, the number of players, and reveals some identities. It also mentions how Yuki is a target for every diary owner. By tracking them, they hope to prevent more trouble. Nishijima knows Yuki and Yuno are headed to the mountains but isn't sure exactly where. Considering the bus route and Yuno's thought process, Aki gets a hunch about their location. The next day, Aki meets Nishijima in the town where he thinks they might be hiding. Nishijima introduces himself to as a police officer and says Yuki is with Yuno. Worried, they'll ask why Yuno would hold Yuki. Nishijima keeps the details vague, saying it's based on Aki's findings at Yuno's house. He asks for their help in locating the couple, explaining that using the police might alert Yuno and make her run away. They start their search in town. Aki chose this spot because it's abandoned, making it the perfect hiding place for Yuno and Yuki without any witnesses. But since they still need basic utilities like water and power, Aki figures they'll be at one of the few hotels that still have those. As they begin checking these hotels, they come across traps that Yuno has set up. Aki gets a call from Nishijima about a hotel owned by Yuno's family. Meanwhile, Hinata receives an email from Yuki asking for help and giving a location. She rushes there immediately. Mao meets Aki and informs him about the message. Aki is skeptical because Yuno's diary should reveal any message Yuki sends. He thinks it might be a trap and that Hinata could be in danger. But then Mao gets another message from Hinata saying she's found Yuki. Despite his doubts, Aki can't ignore it. They arrive at the hotel and find a room where Yuki is supposedly tied up. Aki calls out, but Yuki doesn't respond. Thinking Yuki might be unconscious, Aki and Mao enter the room, leaving Aoji outside in case something goes wrong. They quickly realize it's a trap. The Yuki inside is just a dummy. The door locks behind them, and gas starts filling the room. Meanwhile, the real Yuki is held elsewhere. His eyes are open, but he doesn't react. Yuno chose her father's hotel because she has full control over it. From here, she can watch the other diary owners and the police. She's determined to spend their lives together, no matter the cost. Right then, Aki stares right at the camera and confronts Yuno about those 2 missing skulls she brought along. Aki went back to her place and found 3 bodies buried in a hole, but oddly, 2 of them were missing their skulls. Yuno gets super mad and yells at Aki for disturbing her parents' rest. Aki assures her he buried them properly but is curious about the 3rd body. He threatens to call the cops unless Yuno frees everyone. Yuno finds this amusing, hangs up, and suddenly more gas starts flooding the room fast. Aoji freaks out after everything that's happened and, like Yuki, starts writing in a journal. When he writes about his upcoming death, his diary upgrades, making him the 8th diary owner. Following the diary's instructions, they find a way to escape the room. As they do, the future written in Yuno and Yuki's diaries begins to change. As Yuno picks up the phone to read it, Aoji suddenly bursts into the room. Yuki starts coming to but is still weak and unable to speak. He remembers how he ended up here after drinking the cola Yuno gave him, passing out and waking up to find her there. In the present, Aoji demands that Yuno release everyone, confident from his diary's predictions. Surprisingly, Yuno agrees and throws him the key to the control panel, which he uses to free Aki and Mao. But as he turns away, Yuno fires a crossbow at him, only for her diary to update with a new entry as she gets closer to killing him. She realizes Yuki has been freed. Yuki grabs the crossbow, slaps Yuno, and explains that Hinata used her foot to kick the key Yuno dropped, setting him free. Without wasting time, he meets up with Aki and Mao, learning that 3 diary owners are heading to the hotel. Yuno begs Yuki not to leave her alone, but he gives her a stern look and walks out of the hotel. Nishijima picks them up, and as they drive off, a car passes by with the 3 diary owners who notice Yuki but don't turn back. Meantime in hotel, Yuno gets ready and heads out to protect his love, Yuki. The next day, Yuki gathers with the crew and spills what Deus revealed. The 8th diary owner can create multiple sidekicks using a server. There's only one real diary, so smashing a sidekick's diary won't kill its owner. Just then, Yuki gets a message that other diary owners are heading to his place in 3 days. While Aki and the gang strategize, Yuki's stuck at home, chatting via radio at night. He hears a commotion from the kitchen and cautiously checks, relieved to find it's his mom, Ria, back home for a bit. During dinner, Yuki notices there's too much food, and Ria explains it was also for Yuno, who left after cooking. Yuki's unsettled. 2 days later, they whisk Yuki to Aki's place for safety. It's huge, chosen because it has a cell tower that, if turned off, will disconnect the Sidekick Diary users from the server, making them vulnerable. As they wait, the police report the targets are closing in on the mansion. Suddenly, the lights go out and the remote to the cell tower stops working. Yuki panics, wondering how their plan got leaked, only to find out it's Yuno who's back. Yuno cut the power to ensure she's Yuki's only protector. With no choice, Aki reluctantly lets Yuno inside. He ties her up with Aoji and heads out to disable the cell tower himself. Soon, Marco and AI, 2 diary owners, show up. Marco's a pro and fights and easily takes down Nishijima, because his diary predicts his opponent's moves. Realizing they can't win in a fight, everyone hides until they can turn off the cell tower. Ai's diary tells her where she'll flirt in the future, so they quickly find Mao and Hinata and take them down. Yuno pushes Yuki and closes the door before Marco breaks it. She asks Yuki to untie her, but he hesitates because she betrayed him after he wanted to marry her. Marco breaks the door, but Aki disables the tower, disconnecting Marco and Ai's diaries. Despite that, Marco and AI, the 7th diary owners, laugh it off. Yuno tells Yuki she truly loves him and promises never to betray him again. Yuki finally unties her and she grabs a knife. Marco and AI, lovers with interconnected diaries showing each other's futures, battle to prove whose love is stronger. AI throws a knife, but Yuno blocks each attack skillfully. Impressed by her courage, Yuki praises her as she fights off their attackers. After exhausting their knives, Marco and AI retreat, taking Mao and Hinata for medical attention outside. Suddenly, flames engulf the entire house. Amid the chaos, Yuki confesses to Yuno that he still harbors doubts about trusting her completely. Yuno brushes it off, insisting that as long as she can be of help to him, it's all that matters to her. She pledges unwavering loyalty, ready to act on his commands without hesitation. Their flight leads them into a tense confrontation with AI and Marco. Yuno charges forward, but their coordinated efforts overwhelm her. Marco, enraged by Yuki's protective stance towards Yuno despite being a man, angrily questions the nature of their relationship. Yuki, admitting his own vulnerability and dependence on Yuno, struggles to justify their bond to Marco. As Yuno collapses unconscious, the story shifts back 14 years to Sakurami Tower, where AI was abandoned by her parents. Alone and forsaken, she met Marco, another orphan. Despite Marco's initial annoyance at AI's clinginess, he reluctantly spends time with her. Over the years, AI silently falls in love with him but keeps her feelings hidden, believing them to be one-sided. Rumors spread at school that AI and Marco are dating, sparking jealousy among ugly girls. In retaliation, they deceive AI, summoning her to an abandoned factory under Marco's name, intending to teach her a harsh lesson. AI rushed to the old, rundown factory, expecting Marco to join her soon. She messaged him repeatedly, but instead of Marco, a gang of ugly boys barged in. These boys had heard rumors from disgusting girls that AI was an easy target because she had no parents. They started to destroy her plot by taking chance one by one. Back at Marco's place, he kept trying to call AI after seeing her messages go unanswered. Growing increasingly worried, he dashed to the factory. When he arrived, it was a f***ed up mess. Fueled by anger and fear for AI's safety, Marco unleashed his fury on the boys, beating them brutally. Feeling devastated by what happened, Marco sank into guilt and despair. He believed he had failed to protect AI, the one person he cared about most. He even thought about ending his own life, but AI stopped him. She pleaded tearfully, begging him not to abandon her like her parents had years ago. Meanwhile, at the hospital where Yuno and Yuki were recovering under Iki's careful plan, Nishijima devised a clever strategy involving Minin. He fed Yuki false information that Minin knew how to defeat Marco, and AI, tricking Marco through Yuki's diary. During this time, Yuki's father, Kuru, surprised them with a visit. Concerned for his son, he finally opened up about their family's financial troubles, caused by his debts that kept him away from Yuki. Despite the heartache, Kuru promised to fix things and reunite their family so they could fulfill their dream of stargazing together again. As Yuki continued recovering in the hospital, Kuru received a troubling call. Someone demanded he destroy Yuki's cell phone to settle his debts. Little did Kuru know, Yuno overheard the conversation, adding even more mystery. The next day, Nishijima heads to an orphanage run by Kamado, suspecting him to be the 8th diary owner linked to the destruction of Iki's mansion. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Yuki catches Yuno just as she's about to confront his father, Kuru. He demands to know what's going on after Yuno reveals she overheard something about the 11th diary owner ordering Kuru to destroy Yuki's phone. Yuki finds this hard to believe, but before he can react, Marco calls Yuno confirming that Yuki's dad knows who the 11th diary owner is. Marco threatens Yuno, demanding she bring Kuru to Sakurami Tower or else he'll smash their phones. Yuno returns to the hospital room and proposes a deal. Kuru's safety in exchange for his visit to Marco. Kuru, confused but trusting Yuno's plan, reluctantly agrees. Unknown to Kuru, Yuno has orchestrated this to manipulate Marco and possibly regain control of their diaries. When the other diary owners arrive, Kuru goes to meet Marco and is quickly overwhelmed. With Yuki and Yuno's diaries rendered useless, Marco challenges Yuki to a showdown, mocking him for relying on Yuno's protection. Enraged by his father's peril, Yuki charges at Marco but is easily thrown aside. In a surprising twist, Kuru smashes what looks like Yuki's phone. Shocked, Yuki realizes it was a decoy. Yuno, quick to react, seizes the bouquet containing the real phones, exposing Marco's earlier bluff about them being fake. Yuno hands Yuki the genuine phone, assuring him she's the only one he can trust in this chaotic situation. Kuru then approaches Yuki, explaining that once his debts are settled, he'll replace the phone. Yuki, previously hurt by his father's actions, now understands Kiryu acted without knowledge of the future diaries. Suddenly, the entire building shakes violently, and Yuki finds himself falling through a collapsing floor. Yuno and Kiryu rush to rescue him, with Yuno swooping in just in time to pull Yuki to safety. But their relief is short-lived as Marco uses his diary's power to whisk Kiryu away, leaving Yuki shocked and vulnerable. Meanwhile, Nishijima receives urgent news about chaos erupting at the Sakurami Tower. He had hoped to uncover the servers controlling the subsidiary diaries, but hit dead ends in his search. At the tower's summit, Marco and AI celebrate their long-awaited wedding. Yuno stands her ground, ready to confront them. Then, Yuki's voice echoes, admitting his own weakness and entrusting Yuno with the upcoming battle. Marco is furious and charges at Yuno. He dodges her knife and kicks her, snatching her phone to find Yuki's location. Marco rushes to the room, but Yuki isn't there because the diary he has is fake, meaning AI is now in danger. As he hurries to warn her, Yuki throws a dart and misses, but Yuno kills AI. The building starts to collapse. At that moment, Kiryu grabs a parachute and escapes, leaving everyone in shock. Earlier, Ria got a call from Nishijima about Yuki being trapped in the tower, so she came to help. Seeing Kiryu with a parachute, she confronts him, demanding to know where Yuki is. Kiryu, not wanting to admit he left his son behind, insists he knows nothing and pleads with her to let him go. When Ria doesn't back down, Kiryu starts to panic. Inside the collapsing building, Yuno, Yuki, and AI are trapped under a concrete block. Despite the situation, AI is relieved that Marco is safe and can live on, but Marco refuses to abandon her. He struggles to move the blocks despite his injuries. Yuki helps him and asks Yuno to assist too, but she hesitates because they might lose AI as a hostage. Yuki questions if she really loves him or is just a psychopath, making it hard for him to trust her if she keeps ignoring him. Yuno eventually drops the knife and helps. Outside, Marco holds AI in his arms. He gives the parachute to Yuki, asking him to take care of the girl who loves him. Then, Marco and AI die together. Yuki and Yuno safely land, but Nishijima arrives with the sad news of Ria's death. Later that night, Yuki sits in his room, unable to accept the grim reality. He begs Deus to bring his mother back, but Deus refuses, explaining that his own time is almost up. If a new god isn't chosen soon, the universe will collapse. After Deus leaves, Mur Mur tells Yuki that becoming a god is the only way to bring his mother back. Back in the human world, Yuki learns that his father, Kiryu, was the one who killed his mother. When Yuki confronts him, Kiryu just laughs and asks if Yuki has any proof. Yuki spots a pawn shop receipt and decides to follow Kiryu to see if he can find any evidence. The next day, Nishijima questions Yuno about a third body found at her home, but she doesn't respond and leaves. Nishijima has to wait for the DNA results to get more answers. Yuki wakes up late and heads to the pawn shop. He sees Kiryu getting into a car and follows him to a shrine. When Kiryu arrives, Yuki grabs his bag and finds a telescope inside. Kiryu explains that he wanted to make things right before turning himself in and return the telescope to Yuki. Kiryu promises to get a proper job and start over once he serves his time. Yuki forgives him, but then a guard stabs Kiryu. Other guards surround Yuki and attack, but Yuki, in a fit of rage, uses his diary to take them down one by one. Yuno arrives and finds Yuki. Determined to become a god and eliminate all the other diary owners, Yuki threatens Yuno with a knife. Yuno kisses him, saying she wants to die by his hand but also wants him to use her until the end. A few days later, at City Hall, the mayor orders the destruction of Kamado's orphanage, accusing them of sheltering the person responsible for the tower explosion. Despite everyone thinking it's too harsh, the mayor is adamant, promising to find new homes for the orphans. Meanwhile, at the Cathedral of Casualty, the other diary owners are pushing to eliminate Yuno and Yuki, because they haven't attended the last 5 meetings and Deus's death is approaching. The 11th diary owner is particularly insistent. Just as Deus is about to act, Yuki and Yuno arrive. Yuki reveals that the 11th diary owner is actually the city's mayor, and Deus confirms it by exposing everyone's identities. Yuki explains that he spent the last 5 days in City Hall, gathering information about city events. When the mayor ordered the orphanage's demolition, Yuki realized he was involved. Yuno and Yuki decide to team up with Kamado to confront the mayor. Yuno reveals that the mayor wants Kamado's multiplier diary to increase his power. Yuki is excited about getting closer to becoming a god. Suddenly, Yuno grabs Yuki, urging him to kill all the other diary owners so he can become a god and bring back his parents. Meanwhile, Nishijima is shocked to discover that the 11th diary owner is the mayor, especially since he's just been assigned as the mayor's bodyguard. He also finds out that Yuno's parents, Gasai Ushio and Gasai Seika, were from a prestigious banking family but had no biological children, meaning Yuno was adopted. Meanwhile, Yuno and Yuki convince Kamado to join forces with them to take down the mayor. Some of Kamado's kids, like Nanba, are wary of Yuki but agree to help to protect Kamado. Here's the plan. Yuki will use tear gas to target the mayor. Oren will guide the other subsidiary owners using her diary. Nanba, with his copy diary, will protect Kamado and keep an eye on Yuki to ensure everything goes smoothly. Everything is going according to Yuno's plan. Oren, another subsidiary diary owner, gives Yuki a rice ball. She met him during the Onkata incident and believes he's a good person. She explains that their mother, Kamado, isn't evil either. Kamado didn't want to become a god. They asked her to do it to save the world and make it a better place. After Yuki finishes his rice ball, it's go time for the plan. As the mayor's car gets closer, they stop it and create a smoke screen. The subsidiary owners start attacking the guards, but suddenly a device in the car jams their phones. Shockingly, Yuki starts taking out each subsidiary owner one by one, while Yuno ruthlessly deals with Oren and Nanba. This was Yuno's plan all along. Yuki apologizes but vows to save everyone once he becomes a god. Kamado escapes into the mayor's car, with Yuno and Yuki hot on their trail, aiming to take down both the 11th and 8th diary owners. Yuno freaks out when she realizes Yuki has uncovered the identity of the third body. She's worried she'll lose Yuki if it's true, but he reassures her that he won't leave her. Yuno tries to shoot out the car's tires, but the mayor's diary helps them dodge the attacks. With no other choice, Yuki pushes the car off the highway. Yuno aims her gun at the mayor, but he stays calm. Soon, Yuki arrives with someone and hands Yuki a box, telling him to open it. Inside is Yuno's umbilical cord, found in her orphanage. The DNA comparison with the third body is a perfect match, revealing that the real Yuno is dead and the current Yuno is a fake. Yuki is stunned, but Yuno panics, insisting it's all lies and she's the real Yuno. Yuki hugs her, promising he'll never doubt her. After they escape, a meeting is called that night to discuss beefing up the mayor's protection. After 30 minutes, Minin arrives at the mayor's location, a room housing Japan's third most powerful supercomputer. The mayor's grand plan is to use Kamado's multiplier diary to turn every resident of the city into a future diary owner, creating a kingdom where everyone can predict the future. Fed up with his madness, Minin throws a grenade at him, but he catches it and hurls it back. Nishijima sees the explosion and alerts the other officers. Luckily, Minin escapes unscathed, but the police start closing in on her quickly and strangely accurately. She begins to suspect the mayor might have a diary similar to Tsubaki's, which lets him foresee the actions of those working for him. Before she's caught, Nishijima saves her and gives a false report to the other officers. A suspicious questions his intentions, but Nishijima, aware of the mayor's plans, has decided to side with Minin. He then takes out a ring and proposes to her. Minin, unfamiliar with marriage, takes a moment to understand his proposal. When she realizes, she pulls her hand away, accusing him of wanting to use her for her body. Nishijima bluntly confirms, causing Minin to blush heavily and walk away. She wants to destroy the supercomputer before things escalate. Nishijima stops her, promising to make her happy. Frustrated, Minin agrees to marry him if he destroys the computer. Nishijima accepts the challenge. Inside the building, Kamado reveals her multiplier diary, which the mayor uses to connect to the supercomputer. Minin tries to infiltrate using a flash button, but the security is prepared thanks to the mayor's diary. The connection completes, but Nishijima runs in and throws a grenade, causing an explosion. They manage to escape, but Minin is doubtful about their success. She suspects the mayor, if he has a diary like Tsubaki's, might have foreseen Nishijima's actions. After fulfilling his promise, Nishijima hugs Minin, claiming she belongs to him now. As he tries to kiss her, Minin, though resisting, starts to give in. Suddenly, a radio message announces multiple crimes happening throughout the city. It turns out the destroyed computer was only a part of the whole supercomputer network, and now everyone in the city has a future diary. People can now foresee stock movements, their own deaths, and much more, plunging the city into chaos. In the cathedral, Deus is really worn out and decides to take a break. He senses that Mur Mur is up to something sneaky and wants to do something before he completely loses his powers. Meanwhile, Hinata and the others have teamed up with Minin and Nishijima after Iki shared some crucial information. Now, each of them has their own future diary. According to Aoji's diary, there are two supercomputers called Holon at the top of the quad towers, and they need to be destroyed simultaneously. This means everyone has to work together. Initially, Aoji is reluctant to help because of what Minin did to his school. However, he decides that if working with a criminal is what it takes to save the city, he's willing to do it. The next day, the group arrives at the quad towers and splits into 2 teams. The mayor is ready for them and orders his guards to eliminate everyone. But Minine has figured out that the mayor's diary can see what other diary owners are planning. To deceive him, she writes fake entries in her diary. With this strategy, Minine and her group manage to infiltrate the tower more easily than expected. However, the mayor has more tricks up his sleeve. As Minine and Nishijima proceed, a bomb suddenly explodes and Nishijima gets shot. Despite his injury, Nishijima protects Minine from the bullets. Yuki arrives just in time, takes out the guards, and apologizes for using Nishijima as a diversion. Meanwhile, Yuno is making her way through the floors, taking down enemies with a gun and a katana. According to their plan, Yuno heads off to free Aoji and the others while Yuki goes to confront the mayor. After some intense fighting, Yuki and Yuno reunite with the rest of the group and continue their mission. As they advance, Minine points her gun at Yuki, issuing a stark ultimatum. Unless he eliminates the mayor after using Nishijima as bait, she'll take his life herself. Yuki remains silent, determined to confront the mayor. He locates him quickly, but the mayor retreats into a fortified vault within a bank formerly owned by Yuno's parents. Minine coerces the mayor's assistant and manages to open the door, only to find another barrier that resists passcodes or key cards. Finding no way forward, Minine trains her gun on Yuki. Nishijima was the only one who ever promised to bring her happiness, and now she's set on avenging his death by taking Yuki's life. When she fires, Yuki evades and slips away. Minine finds Yuki's singular pursuit of godhood through resurrecting his parents pathetic. She points out how countless others have lost loved ones and can't even recall them, unlike Yuki. Minine recounts her own tragic loss. Her parents died before she could even speak, leaving her to fend for herself amidst ruins and deprivation. As Minine speaks, Yuki finds himself in a perilous dilemma. He knows his fate is sealed, yet any move he makes to alter the future will be betrayed by the telltale static. The mayor, watching smugly, knows the vault's second door requires a retina scan, registered only to him, Yuno, and her deceased parents. With Yuno's parents gone and her being an imposter, the door remains sealed shut. Elsewhere, after releasing Aoji and the others, Yuno locates Kamado and attempts an assault. Aki intervenes swiftly, blocking the attack. Just then, Yuno receives a new diary entry about Yuki's final wishes. In it, Yuki instructs Yuno to use her future godhood to bring back his parents after his demise. Back at the vault, Minine hears static noise, but it's just a ringing cell phone. Yuki seizes the chance to shoot, opting not to kill Minine if he can avoid it. As Minine prepares to retaliate, she catches a glimpse of herself in Yuki, a fellow orphan desperate for closure. Hesitating, Minine is met with Yuki's defensive shot, incapacitating her. With resolve, Yuki proceeds towards the vault. The mayor mocks Minine's supposed demise, disappointed with the lack of drama from an international criminal. But Minine surprises everyone. She's still alive, armed with a bomb that's rigged to explode if her heart stops. She barricades herself between vault doors, urging Yuki to set things right when he becomes a god. Just before her end, Minine sees her parents and her younger self, grateful for her courageous decision. Despite smashing the bomb's trigger, the vault remains untouched. Meanwhile, Yuno arrives and tells Yuki to demolish the entire Holon in the South Tower while she keeps watch on the mayor. Yuki agrees and heads off. Inside the vault, the mayor resigns himself to having only one Holon, but Yuno swiftly opens the vault door and captures him without hesitation. Yuki successfully obliterates the entire Holon and learns of the mayor's demise. Puzzled by how Yuno pulled it off, he now faces Kamado as the city's sole remaining diary owner. As promised, Aki plans to hand Kamado over to Yuki at his home. Initially convinced, Yuki's determination to bring back his parents makes him the best candidate to become a god. Aki starts to have doubts after seeing Yuno effortlessly open the vault door. While Yuki's motive is clear, Yuno's intentions remain mysterious. Suddenly, a strange black sphere appears on rooftops all over the city, signaling its impending collapse. Mur Mur questions Deus's premature death, suspecting he did something behind her back. Kamado and Iki enter the cathedral, where Mur Mur tries to eliminate Iki, only for Deus to intervene. Iki queries Deus about the god's ability to reset everything, including bringing back the dead. Deus confirms such a reset isn't possible. Realizing this truth, Aki swiftly returns to the human world to inform Yuki. Kamado has created a new diary specifically for Aki. Yuki and Yuno are on a mission to bring Kamado back. She asks if he could ever kill Aki and their friends if they turned against him. Yuki dodges the question, trusting Aki too much to even think about it. But when they arrive, they find out the hard way. Aki has betrayed them. Kamado is escaping with Iki and the others. In a fit of rage, Yuno stabs Iki. Yuki is stunned, thinking Iki is dead, but Iki stands up, alive and kicking thanks to a stab-proof vest. Yuno keeps attacking, but Iki's got moves. He counters everything she throws at him effortlessly. Yuki is puzzled. How is Iki surviving despite what his diary shows? Then it clicks, Iki has a future diary too. Yuki warns Yuno to back off. Iki, impressed by Yuki's deduction, reveals his secret. His subsidiary diary lets him foresee the actions of other diary owners. Yuno tells Yuki to chase Kamado while she handles Iki. Yuki agrees, but he's heartbroken seeing Iki's betrayal. Back at Iki's place, Iki's plan is working. He's stalling Yuno long enough for Hinata and the others to tell Yuki the truth. But then, out of nowhere, Yuno stabs herself. If she dies, Yuki will get notified, and he won't trust anything the others say. Iki is deep in thought as Yuki arrives. Hinata tries to convince him that Yuno has been manipulating him from the start. She reveals that even if he becomes a god, he can't bring people back to life. Yuki is shocked, laughs hysterically, and accuses Hinata of lying. Gods can do anything, right? But when Hinata tells him it's Deus himself who said it, Yuki freaks out, realizing the gravity of his situation. Just then, he gets a call. Iki is trying to reach him, but Yuno is already on the line. She begs Yuki to save her, warning that Iki will kill her and that all his friends are plotting against him. Yuki checks his phone and confirms her claim. In a desperate move, he points a gun at Hinata, demanding to know why they're betraying him. Hinata tries to reason with him, insisting that Yuno is the real manipulator. But Yuki, in a moment of panic, shoots her, now calls him a coward who can't face the truth. Yuki, now lost in his delusions, shoots her and Aoji too. As he walks past their bodies, he promises to bring them back once he becomes a god. Iki finally gets to the scene, horrified by the sight of the dead bodies. He regrets saving Yuno's life earlier since it allowed her to trick Yuki, leading to everyone's deaths. He tells Yuki that Yuno was faking their friendship all along, planning to kill him and take his place as a god. Just then, Yuno shows up. Iki stuns everyone by kissing Yuki right in front of her and then moves to destroy her diary. He successfully destroys it, but nothing changes, and Yuno lands a fatal cut on him. As Iki lies there, dying, he's puzzled. He saw static on the screen, so he knows the diary was real. Then it clicks, Yuno's real diary always called Yuki by his first name, but the one he destroyed used his family name, Amano. On the other side, Yuki asks Yuno how she's still standing after her diary was destroyed. Yuno tells him it was a decoy. Yuki doesn't overthink it and rushes to confront Kamado. Before dying, Kamado pleads with Yuki to create a peaceful world for her children. With Kamado gone, it's just Yuno and Yuki left. Iki, barely hanging on, recalls thinking the dead body in Yuno's house was the real Yuno, and the current one was fake. But now, remembering how Yuno unlocked the vault, he realizes the truth. Unable to speak, he writes a message for Yuki. As he approaches, Yuno beheads him, but Yuki manages to read the message. Meanwhile, in the cathedral, Deus is dead, and the last bit of power keeping the world together will vanish on July 28th. Yuki and Yuno get this grim news. 3 days later, Yuki is chilling at Yuno's house, finally feeling safe now that he doesn't have to worry about getting killed. He's accepted that he can't bring back the dead, but Iki's warning about Yuno and the message he left still nag at him. After dinner, as Yuki tries to go to his room, Yuno stops him. She breaks down, crying, asking why he isn't flirting with her. She knows she's only good for killing, but she hoped Yuki would fall in love with her. Now, seeing him still choosing another room, she feels pathetic and retreats to her room. Yuki sees how much Yuno loves him and finds it hard to believe she would kill him, especially after having many chances. Finally, it's July 27th, the day before the world ends. By now, Yuki feels guilty for doubting Yuno. He decides to show her his true feelings before it's too late. For the first time, Yuki invites Yuno to take a bath together. Later, they go to his room and Yuki destroy her plot. Afterward, now feeling closer than ever, Yuki asks Yuno why she lied about bringing everyone back to life if he became a god. Yuno suddenly pulls out her axe. She apologizes for lying, saying she did it to motivate Yuki to strive to become a god. Now that they've eliminated everyone, her final wish is for him to kill her. Yuki refuses. If becoming a god means losing her, he doesn't want it. He's happy they can die peacefully together but still wonders about Iki's strange message. Yuno asks about it, and Yuki explains that Iki believed Yuno was from the future, had already become a god, and traveled back in time to take the place of this world's Yuno by killing her. Suddenly, Yuno grabs the axe and attacks. She wanted just one happy day with him, but now she realizes she won't get that in this world either. Yuno's attacks force Yuki to dodge, and he ends up near the edge of a hole. Out of nowhere, Mur Mur appears and forcefully pushes Yuki into the hole. As he falls, he experiences flashbacks of his first meeting with Yuno. Mur Mur explains that by then, Yuno had already sought revenge by locking them in a cage and leaving them to starve. Yuno had lost all hope until she met Yuki, who became her ray of hope. Mur Mur then reveals how the first world came to an end. Yuno's biggest dream was to marry Yuki, but everything changed when the survival game began, where only one could survive. After defeating all the other diary owners, Yuno and Yuki decided to die together by taking poison. However, Yuno pretended to take it too. She also believed that by becoming a god, she could bring Yuki back to life. But soon, she realized it wasn't possible. Overcome with grief at not being able to see Yuki again, she used her godly powers to travel back in time to the second world, where Yuki was still alive. Without hesitation, she erased the second world's Yuno because she refused to share Yuki's love. Yuki is overwhelmed with emotions, realizing that the girl who promised to be his bride no longer exists. He tries desperately to help her, but Mur Mur explains it's all just illusions, leaving his efforts in vain. Strangely, on the brink of death, Yuno hears Yuki's voice calling out to her, begging for help. Mur Mur is shocked by this and immediately ends the illusion, bringing them back to the present. There are crucial details that Mur Mur hadn't revealed to Yuki. She herself is from the first world, serving as Yuno's loyal servant. When Yuno came to this world and eliminated the second world's Yuno, Mur Mur used her powers to erase parts of Yuno's memory. The reason events didn't unfold like they did in the first world was because Yuki accidentally opened a door in Yuno's house, exposing the truth about the second world's Yuno. Slowly, Yuno began to remember her past, leading to small changes that ultimately reshaped the entire timeline. In the present, Yuki confronts Yuno, demanding to know why she's trying to kill him. Yuno reveals that initially, she wanted Yuki to kill her so he could become god. However, when Yuki refused and suggested they die together, she couldn't accept it. Yuno explains that if Yuki doesn't become god, the entire universe will face destruction. To prevent this cataclysm, the past Deus won't start the survival game and will opt for a different method to choose the next god. Without the game, Yuno fears their relationship won't deepen, leaving her to be seen as just a stalker. Determined to save both Yuki and the world, she insists on killing him so she can become god and reset time to be with him forever. Yuki is overwhelmed by this revelation. As he starts to fall, Yuno uses her powers to intervene. Just as Mur Mur is about to declare Yuno the winner, a surprising static noise reveals Yuki is still alive. Minin appears unexpectedly and rescues Yuki, catching Mur Mur off guard. They use Deus's time leap to travel to the third world, crashing into a building upon arrival. Minin's survival is explained by Deus saving her from disappearing and taking her to a place even Mur Mur couldn't reach. Deus, nearing his end, transferred some of his power and knowledge to Minin, seeing her as the rightful person to change the world for the better due to her suffering. Right now, they're stuck in the third world, 2 years back in time, with just one more year to go before the deadly survival game kicks off again. Suddenly, Yuki gets a chilling message. Another version of Yuno is on her way to kill the Yuno of this world, and they've got only 2 hours to stop her. Determined to save this world's Yuno from a gruesome fate, Yuki springs into action. In this reality, Yuno's dealing with awful abuse from her mom, while Tsubaki's folks are about to hop into their car. Meanwhile, the mayor's pitching the idea of these future diaries to Deus, but things take a weird turn with some unexpected glitch. Yuki and Minin roll up at Yuno's place, only to find it empty. Seika's out, leaving Yuno alone in a heartbreaking state. Yuki's shocked to see her so hungry she's gnawing on bits of a floor mat and choking. He dials for an ambulance pronto, hoping to change the course of her tragic fate. Minin's furious. Their mission was to stop Yuno and Mur Mur, but any wrong move could mess up this world's future big time. Despite the risks, Yuki refuses to bail on Yuno. Just then, Yuno and Mur Mur show up, and Yuno's got this crazy orb thing that's got Yuki's parents from this world trapped inside. Minin grabs them and tells Yuki his folks are already gone in their original world. They can't mess with destiny anymore or they'll wreck this world's future. Yuno has to go. Back at Yuno's house, the ambulance arrives with Ashino, who got a call thinking Yuno's mom was at it again. Seeing the pain of her past, Yuno snaps and stabs Ashino in a rage, trying to fend off anyone who gets close until Mur Mur steps in. Meanwhile, Minin's got somewhere urgent to be and drops Yuki at school before taking off. Yuki's determined to keep Yuno safe, guiding her to the classroom where it all began. After getting her to safety, Yuno appears and starts attacking right away. Yuki does his best to dodge the attacks and move away so that this world's Yuno doesn't get involved in the fight. Soon, Mur Mur uses her powers to surround Yuki with spheres and make them explode. Yuno attacks while Yuki tries to understand what her diary is saying and figure out his own feelings. At the same time, Mine calls Keigo to tell him he must treat his son's illness urgently before it worsens. Even though she vowed not to alter this world's future, her promise to Keigo makes her break her own rule. At the school, Yuki narrowly escapes another death attempt. Determined to bring Yuno back to the second world, he faces her. Yuno demands to know why he's interfering. Yuki simply says, "Because I love you." These words fluster Yuno, causing her to miss her next strike. As Mur Mur moves into attack, Mine arrives just in time, engaging Mur Mur in a fierce battle. This gives Yuki the chance to get closer to Yuno. Yuki begs Yuno to leave this world and promises to sacrifice himself in return. Yuno laughs, saying she loves him too much to go back. She uses her powers to trap Yuki inside a sphere where he finds himself surrounded by everything he ever wanted. Initially, Yuno planned to kill Yuki and become a god, but she can't bring herself to do it. Instead, she traps him in the sphere, planning to leave him there forever. She intends to become the god of the second world and then return to this world to compete in the survival game again. This way, she can achieve her dreams without harming Yuki. Before Yuki can respond, the sphere closes around him. Meanwhile, at the police station, Seika reports her daughter missing just as Keigo learns of explosions happening at the school. The increasing blasts draw everyone's attention, including the other diary owners, escalating the chaos throughout the city. Back at the school, Mine hauls a defeated Mur Mur and gears up for a showdown with Yuno. However, Yuno removes Mur Mur's limits, turning her into a fearsome powerhouse. Like an unleashed beast, Mur Mur brutally beats Mine, inflicting severe damage to her arm before finally knocking her out. Meanwhile, Yuki has completely forgotten the chaos and is living the dream life he always wanted. After enjoying a cozy breakfast, his family heads to the mountains for a stargazing adventure. Yet, something feels off. He senses he's missing someone important. Outside, with both Yuki and Mine incapacitated, Mur Mur tends to Ushio's wounds. Yuno, on the brink of killing this world's Yuno, overhears her pleading for her parents' help. She finds it pitiful and starts recounting the grim future awaiting this Yuno. Her mother's mental breakdown, her father's constant absence, leading to increased abuse and shattered dreams of a happy family. One day, this Yuno would drug her parents, lock them in a cage as revenge, and after a month of starvation, they'd die, leaving her utterly alone. But the third world's Yuno doesn't share this bleak outlook. She loves her parents and believes they'll eventually understand her. This makes Yuno reflect on her own past, wondering where everything went wrong. Suddenly, the police and Keigo arrive on the scene. Seeing her husband, Seika dashes to the roof. Meanwhile, Mur Mur is having a meltdown as the future keeps shifting unpredictably. Nishijima meets Mine much earlier than expected. Tsubaki's parents, who were supposed to leave tonight, stay back due to the explosions, and a bomb is discovered in their car, planted by Funatsu. This prevents Onkata from turning into an evil cult and keeps its mission of helping the weak. Hojo's parents, who were going to join Onkata, decide to stay with Hojo instead. In an alley, Hirosaka catches a serial killer. At Hinata's house, Tsukishima realizes how much his daughter loves dogs and wants to train them. At the orphanage, Kamado gets a call from the mayor about funding. The future diary revealed to the mayor that he would die and the winner would time travel instead of saving the world. This revelation prompts Deus to change the method for selecting the next god. Mur Mur is freaking out because, at this rate, the survival game might not happen. At the school, Yuno tries to attack but Ushio steps in and takes the hit. Seiko arrives and is relieved to find her daughter safe. Yuno is shocked to see her parents genuinely worried about her. Then, Keigo arrives and points a gun at Yuno. Inside the sphere, Yuki finally remembers Yuno, and feels sad about leaving his parents, but he chooses Yuno over his lost dream. Outside, Yuno starts seeing herself as the villain. She's happy for this world's Yuno but still loves Yuki and feels she must kill this world's Yuno to be with him. As she charges, Keigo fires his gun. The second world Mur Mur stops the bullet, and Yuki breaks free, stopping Yuno's attack. The second world Mur Mur handles the first world Mur Mur. Yuno is emotional seeing Yuki choose her over his dream. Yuki tells Yuno she doesn't belong here and asks her to kill him so she can go back to being the god of the second world. Yuno raises her knife but instead stabs herself, unable to kill the one she loves. They share one last kiss before Yuno dies. Mur Mur announces Yuki as the winner, without causing any more disruptions. They return to the second world, restoring balance and ending their journey on a bittersweet note. 2 years later in the third world, Deus remains alive because he opted against starting the survival game, thereby conserving his powers. With Deus's approval, Minin has settled into this world. She and Nishijima are happily married with 2 delightful children. Thanks to Minin's efforts, Keigo's son is on the path to recovery. Aki and his friends enjoy caring for Tsukishima's dogs, and Tsubaki's parents are alive and well, sparing her from her previous traumas. Hojo is happily spending time with his parents, and Kamado has found love with the mayor. Marco and Ai are married and expecting their first child. Meanwhile, Yuno has become close friends with Aki and the others. After her school was destroyed, she transferred to a different one, never crossing paths with Yuki. Despite this, she senses there's something precious she's forgotten. Late one night, Yuno confides in her imaginary friend about her fragmented memories. Suddenly, she finds herself inside a cathedral. Mur Mur detects the intrusion and moves to stop Yuno, but Minin arrives just in time. Encouraging Yuno to delve deeper into the cathedral to reclaim her memories, Minin takes on Mur Mur to buy her time. Yuno rushes through the cathedral, memories flooding back of a boy she once held close. Inside a strange spherical room, she finds the first world's Mur Mur trapped. Meanwhile, Deus steps in to stop the clash between Mur Mur and Minin. Yuno's leap across dimensions proves fate has led her here to reunite with her true love. It turns out Yuno's imaginary friend was the first world's Mur Mur all along, who absorbed Yuno's essence and memories. Moved by these memories, Mur Mur has been trying to reach out to the third world Yuno. As the first world Yuno's loyal servant, Mur Mur asks Yuno to embrace all her master's memories, both joyful and painful. Despite the heartache, Yuno accepts, finally recalling everything about Yuki. Meanwhile, it's been 10,000 years since Yuki became the god of space and time. He wonders about the fate of the third world after he left, hoping Yuno and their friends found happiness. Though he can create a new world, Yuki hesitates, knowing it would mean losing Yuno. All he has left is his diary, with its final pages. Suddenly, everything changes. Yuno breaks through dimensions with Deus's help, returning to Yuki to spend the rest of her life with him. And that's where this video ends. Comment guys if you like this type of content, and watch this next. Until next time.
Take you